Hey, Daniel here. Today I'm going to show you how you can create your very own AI-powered Slack agent that can see, hear, think, create, and post to social media. This agent can listen to your voice notes, analyze images that you share with it, research the latest news and trends, generate stunning images using Flux 1.1 Pro, or it can fetch images from Pixabay, and it can even draft social posts in your tone of voice and publish them to Facebook, LinkedIn, X, or Instagram. This system is built on N8N and Make.com, two no-code automation platforms. And because control is key, I've built in a human-in-the-loop feature, so you have total control over what you publish to your social media accounts. I recently created an AI-powered social agent using WhatsApp, and off the back of that, one of our community members asked, could we rebuild this on Slack? And that's why we're here. By the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge needed to be able to set up your very own Slack agent that can process images, process voice notes, and can even respond in speech. If you're looking to shortcut the process, check out the link in the description to our community, where you'll get access to this Slack agent, as well as the Make.com and N8N blueprints that it's built on. All right, let me show you exactly what this agent can do. So here we have a dedicated channel called N8N Social, and you can see the entire back and forth that I'm having with this AI agent, where we're sharing images, I'm sending audio voice notes, it's responding in audio voice notes, and it's able to trigger social posts using this agent safeguard system that I built. So let's just quickly test it out. So I'll record an audio clip here. Hi, can you check out any breaking news in the generative AI space? So we'll just send that. Now with Slack, you can send multiple files at a time. So you can write a message, you can send multiple voice notes, multiple images. This system is able to handle all of that and process each individually. And as you can see, that's now running. The social media agent has gone to Google search, and then it's going to respond on Slack. Okay, here we go. So here's some of the latest breaking news stories, also including citations and links. Can you find out more about that survey listed in the second point, and then also draft a Facebook and a LinkedIn post for that? Jump into executions here, and you can see that's running. And there's our response. So there's our Facebook and our LinkedIn post. Can you generate an AI image for both of those, please? So that's going to replicate.com, and that uses Flux 1.1 Pro. So if the output doesn't contain much text, it responds in voice. Whereas if there's quite a lot of text, I've actually filtered that out because it was becoming a bit of an overhead. Okay, very good. You can have a back and forth with it, as you can see, but let's just publish these. All right, yeah, let's publish this to Facebook and LinkedIn. So we're going to get the human-in-the-loop safeguard feature to kick in now. And there we go. There's our agent safeguard feature. So this is the LinkedIn post, AI in the workplace, a missed opportunity or the future. So this is the survey. And here is the image that was generated. And then we have our approval link. So if we click on that, and then let's also click on the approval link for Facebook. If we come into our Facebook account, there is our Facebook post, including the image. And for LinkedIn, we also have our LinkedIn post as well. And the benefit of this is you don't actually need to use AI images like we're doing here. So for example, we could take a screenshot, and then we can ask it to post this image with the message. So that way it's more authentic. You're actually using imagery that you're creating. It could be screenshots, it could be photos you're taking on your phone. As you can see, the human-in-the-loop message has just come in, the post to LinkedIn. It's now including a link to the image we uploaded. And if you click that, you can see it. So now we just click on this approval link, and then we go to LinkedIn, and there you go. There's the screenshot I just uploaded with the message that was just created. Now that you've seen the Slack agent in action, let's take a high-level view of the N8N workflow. So here we have the Slack trigger. These are the messages or the files that are coming in from Slack. If there are files, it jumps down to this file processing section, which loops over the various files. And then if they're audio, it comes up here to transcribe them. If they're images, it comes down here to use the vision model to analyze them. And from there, we aggregate all of the messages, send it into our social media Slack agent. This agent has various tools that you saw in the demo, like searching Google, generating images, fetching stock photography, posting to social media. So it does its work, and then it outputs a response that could either be a message, or it can generate audio using a text-to-speech model and send that via Slack. So this is the high-level overview of the workflow. In today's video, I'll be going into detail on how to create this Slack trigger, how to handle the processing of files from Slack, and then also how to respond in kind, be it through audio or text messages. The actual creation of the agent itself, in terms of the tools that it uses, the setup of the system prompts, that's covered in this video that I published on the channel a few days ago. Check out the card above if you'd like to see how the actual agent is created, and then come back to this video for the Slack requests and Slack responses. All right, let's jump into the full build. So I've got my social media agent set up here. So as you can see, if I say hello, it's triggering GPT-4o, and I'm getting a response. Save into memory as we go. And we have our list of tools that we went through in the previous video. Okay, so we're going to add Slack as a trigger and as a response. So let's just right click and add node. And then let's just type in Slack. We're not looking for the tool, we're looking for it as a trigger. So we can close actions. and let's come into triggers. And we'll be choosing on new message posted to a channel. Okay, so next up we need to select our credentials. And as you can see, we need to set up a webhook in our Slack app to enable this node as well. We'll click create new credentials and we need to get an access token. So there's two types of authentication with Slack using N8N. You have an API key and you have OAuth. So we're going to set up both here. So this one is the Slack API, as you can see. Instructions for this are here. If you click on Open Docs and you just follow through the steps here. So we go to the apps page. We're going to create a new app. We're going to do it from scratch. And we'll call this one N8N. We can then pick a workspace to develop the app in. So this is the one I have. And we click Create App. So on this page, you're going to have access to the app ID, the client ID, the secrets, and a verification token. So then on the left-hand side, if you click on OAuth and permissions, and if you scroll down to scopes, this is where you can actually set the scope of the permission for this account. The N8N documentation for this has a full list of scopes that the OAuth credentials require. So this is a good starting point, as it says. So you just need to add all of these here. Okay, that's added. Next, we go up to the OAuth token section, and you click on Install to your workspace. Then you can click Allow. The permissions that you're seeing here are the scopes that you set a couple of minutes ago. So then you get an OAuth token, so you can copy that out, and that's what we're going to bring into N8N, and this will be the access token. So you can paste that in there, and then you can click Save, and it's going to test it out. Connection tested successfully, and we're done with this credential. So then there is one more step that you need to register your webhook for this trigger. So if you go back into here and click on Event Subscriptions on the left-hand side, you need to enable events and then register your webhook so that when a message is received by Slack, it hits this webhook and pings your N8N workflow. So similar to the WhatsApp setup, Slack only allows one webhook to be used for an app. So when you're testing this, you'll have to use your test webhook, and when it pushes to production, you'll have to change it to your production webhook. Okay, so we have our Slack trigger then. Let's pull this down here. Let's just disconnect the N8N chat for the minute, and we'll use our Slack trigger. So we'll connect that up, and then if you double click there, and from here then, we need to choose the channels to watch. So what we might do is let's create a new channel on Slack. We'll add a channel. Let's call this N8N Social. Click Next, and that can be publicly available to everyone in the workspace. And then back in here, and we'll load that back up again. And now there we have N8N Social. And then at the top, then you have webhook URL, so you can copy that out and into here, paste it into your request URL. It does try it, and I've got an error. And then to verify it, what you need to do is come back into the Slack trigger and just click Test Step, and then click on Retry, and you'll see that it comes up as verified. And what that does is it responds with this challenge token or challenge parameter that they're looking for. Great, so we now know that this is working. So now we need to subscribe to the bot events. These events correspond to what we're actually triggering on here. So we can see new message posted to channel. If you type in message in the search, you'll see message.channels, and that's what we're looking for. A message was posted to a channel. I found I also needed to add message.channels to subscribing to events on behalf of users because that includes conversations they're part of. So by adding that in there, we can now test it out. So we'll click test workflow at the bottom and we'll say hello. And then if we come in here, you can see that has triggered and it's working its way through to the agent. So there needs to be a session ID, let's say. And let's have a quick look at the mapping for Slack to see is there any kind of session ID we can kind of pull out here. I think we might just use the channel name because we want to track the history of the channel. So I think the channel ID actually is probably a decent shout. That's not going to change as new messages come in. So okay, let's save it and test it again. There's hi, and yeah, that's now gone to there. Okay, so that's working. We're now receiving messages from Slack and we're able to process them. If we jump into the chat model, you can see that we have a response as well. It's, hello, how can I assist you today? So next up, we now need to respond via Slack. So we click into here and go to Slack. We need to send a message. So you can filter for message. There's send. So for this one, let's click on create new credential. Now we're going to connect using OAuth, which they recommend. So we'll connect my account. Then we just go through this process. So this is all of the permissions needed. So we'll click allow, and that's it, easy as. So let's now save it and let's test it again. There's a trigger in the background. Do we get a response? Okay, that has also hit an error. Let's have a look. Still not in channel. Okay, so for this actually, we need to invite the bot to the channel. I forgot to do that. So let's come in here and then we just type in invite. Then you can choose add apps to this channel. So we'll do that. And then you can see that there's the N8N app that we have created. So if you click add to that, it's now added to the channel. It now has the ability to post to it. So one last test to get this working end to end. We'll just add hello. Got a GPT-4o. There we go. I got my notification and great. Hey, it seems like we're having a friendly greeting exchange because it's obviously seen lots of hellos. So we have it working end to end. So I'll delete this N8N chat. We'll just use Slack for this. That'll make things easier because we won't need to put in kind of complex conditional statements to say, you know, if it's N8N chat, do this. If it's Slack chat, do that. But let's test out some of our other features of our social media bots. We'll click test workflow again. It's not in production yet, so we'll have to keep clicking that button until we activate the scenario and add the production URL to the Slack events subscription. So for the moment, let's say carry out Google search on the latest trends in AI. Okay, so that's gone to the Google search tool, which is with data for SEO. It's come back. That's going to ping back here now on Slack. Okay, excellent. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to say generate an AI image for the first news story. I'll click test workflow again. That's going to go to replicate.com, which uses Flux 1.1 Pro Ultra. Okay, and we're back. Great, we do have a preview of the image as well, which is brilliant. So then that'll work for stock photography as well. Get a stock photo also. Brilliant, yeah, that's great. Now we'll just test the markdown feature. So fetch this news story. Okay, there's the markdown of that page as well. So all of these tools are working pretty well, actually. So we'll have a look at request posting to social in a minute. I do want to try to get audio up and running though. So let's see within Slack. If I record an audio clip, hey, could you give me the latest on the Google Gemini Flash 2.0 news story? So there's the audio clip, and let's send it. Okay, so we have got our trigger message deleted. That's interesting. I actually just deleted that message, and it's coming through as an event. So we need to filter these events. I didn't see a subtype on the message created, so we can put a filter on that. Drag this out here, and let's come into this. We'll put in filter, and then we'll say where subtype, let's say, is not equal to message deleted. So let's save that. So we test the workflow now, and let's just delete a message. Brilliant, yeah. So I'd hit there and it didn't go any further. You can see subtype is message deleted, and then let's just test it again and send a message. Yeah, and a pass. Brilliant. Okay, so back to where I started. Let's try to send an audio message. So I'll click test workflow, and let me just open up the audio here. Hi, can you check the latest news in AI? Now, interestingly, you can have multiple files and a message. So let's just type in this as a message. Let's put in another audio clip and also check image to video AI as well. Okay. And then let's also even upload an image because you can definitely send multiple files here. Okay, there's an image. Now let's send that. That's triggered something because obviously it's got a Google search. So yeah, if we double click on this, we can see the text that I passed. This is a message. And then we have a files array. Let's have a look. We have 3 different files. There's an audio message. We have the second audio message and then probably the image. Yeah, cool. So next up then, we need to process each file and figure out if it's audio, we need to transcribe it, or if it's an image, we need to analyze it and see what's in the image. So let's pull this out here. We'll keep our event filter. But we'll need to handle files a bit differently to just standard messages. So let's do an if, and then we can just route based on if there's files or not. So let's look in here. Yeah, if files exists, essentially. So we can use Boolean there if it exists. Well, actually, let's say if it doesn't exist. So if it doesn't exist, we're going to go just straight to send the message into the agent. If it does exist, we're going to go down this track. Okay, let's save this and let's just make sure this works. So this is a really nice trick on n8n. If you go into executions, the last execution that I ran, if we double click on the trigger, it had files. So you can copy this execution into the editor, and then you'll see that it pins all of the data from that execution. So this data is pinned, and there you have the multiple files. So this is a great way of avoiding needing to trigger Slack constantly when building out this workflow. So, and now if I click test workflow, you can see that it's using that data from the previous execution. Now we are getting an error. So wrong type, it's an object, not a Boolean. This is a great toggle as well, convert types where required. So let's just try that one. And then we can just actually just click test step because the files are already on the left-hand side there. Brilliant, that worked. So we can test it end to end now to get to there, and it worked. We can now pull down this branch and actually process these files one by one. So what we need to do is use a loop. So let's use the loop over items feature. Now what this does is it runs in batches of one item at a time, or you can increase the number of items per loop. We do want to just process one file at a time here. Now there is an issue in that we don't have the items set up correctly here. So if you look, we have an array, and then if we close this, we only have a single item. Let's leave that there for the moment. And let's just open up another node here. And we will need to let's set a field. So set fields. We'll do a manual mapping of this. So let's just call this files. All we need to do is just gain access to this kind of array of files. So let's do it like that. And this is an array. And then let's test that. And what do we have? Yeah, that's not going to work because we still have one item. For the loop over items feature to work, you need to be inputting multiple items. And right now, even by actually pulling in the files like that, we still just have a single item. So we might need to use a code node instead. We'll just do some very simple code on this. So let's just create your code node. We have JavaScript. Definitely use Ask AI. If you're not too familiar with JavaScript or with Python, just ask AI and it's most likely going to get it to do what you need to do. So let's even test this out here. Now we have no data coming into this yet. So, oh yeah, that's why. Sure, it's hooked up to the wrong path. So we'll hook it up there. Now we have the data, and let's just ask AI, load up the files array from the input, or actually return the files array. So let's try that. Generate code, and code generation failed. I don't know why that's the case. I'm on the cloud version here. Not sure why. Anyway, give that a shot. That might work for you. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is just hard code it. So we're going to return this. We'll return the files array. That should do it. And if we test step, yeah, there you go. You have 3 items now. So the loop over items is going to work 3 times now, 1 for each file, and that's what we need. So yeah, very simple JavaScript just to return that. Okay, so this would be, we'll just rename this just to keep this all tidy. So set up files to loop over. So this one is just text, question mark, and if it's just text, it goes down the true path. If it's not, it comes down this path to process the files. Okay, so we're going to set up the files to loop over as we've done. So now we're into this loop feature. It's going to run 3 times. You've even seen it there. And you can see 3 items. Okay, so let's even rename this one. So we're going to process the items. And then when we're done, we're just going to come back to this track here and continue. So we won't do that just yet, but that's the idea. So what do we want to do with these items? Well, firstly, let's just have a look at them and see what we can do with them. So we have set up files to loop over, 3 items. So yeah, you can see MIME type, audio MP4, and image JPEG. So maybe that's what we'll do, because we're going to need to process these files differently. If it's an image, we want to analyze it using OpenAI's vision model. And if it's audio, we want to transcribe it. So let's start there. Replace me. Okay, so for the loop, there's lots of types of files. There's documents, there's videos. Maybe we'll do a switch and we could set up a route for each different one. So let's execute previous nodes and we can see it there. So just drag in MIME type then. So if MIME type contains, that's audio. So if it contains audio, and let's call this one the audio track. Whereas if MIME type contains image, we'll go down this track. Let's just do those for the moment, and we can add video and documents and whatever else afterwards. So, okay, great. We have that. I don't know why the done. That shouldn't be connected there. Let's get rid of that. And we're losing a bit of space here. Let's move all of these over here too. Okay, so this one then is check file type. So if it's audio, what do we want to do? So again, let's see what actually is happening. So we have audio as MP4. And interesting, yeah, there is a transcription. So you can see transcription is complete here. Hi, can you check the latest news in AI? So actually, in that case, we don't even need to transcribe the message. I have a feeling though it takes time to generate that. So let's test it. So we'll test workflow. Oh no, I need to unpin the data. So because I clicked test workflow there, but because I've pinned the previous execution, it's just reloading it. So you can just click unpin there and we'll test it again, and now it's waiting. So let's try a new message. Hello, test 1, 2. Okay. We'll send that, and we have come down here, and let's have a look. Yeah, transcription status is processing, whereas it was complete a minute ago, and there's no transcription here. So we're going to need to transcribe if the status is processing. If it's complete, we don't need to transcribe. It's already done. So let's run an if on that. If the transcription status, so just drag that up there, is equal to processing, yeah, that should be fine. So in this case, it is. I'll just test it, and you can see the true branch. And there's nothing in the false branch. Okay, so if it is processing, then that means we need to go and transcribe. So then let's go to OpenAI, and then we have a transcriber recording action. Now this needs binary actually. You can see data is there. So the name of the input field containing the binary file data to be processed. Okay, so let's drag that out for a second. We need to download the file. So we add another node there. Go to Slack. Is there a download? No. File, get a file, okay, and file ID, yeah, that's that one there. That's the audio message, because we're within this loop now. So drag in that file ID, and let's test that. And that's pretty much just giving us what we already have. No, we need to get the actual link. URL private download, that might be the one. Yeah, MP4, brilliant, yeah, that downloaded. We don't need to get a file then, because we already have the file information. We need to actually download the file. So it's just a HTTP request then. So let's try that. Drop in the file URL, and let's test it. Okay. That's not worked because we're getting HTML. I think the issue is there's no authentication here. It's just we're trying to download a file with a standard GET and we haven't said anything. Maybe we need to send in the Slack API. Try the Slack API because we've already set it up. Excellent. Yeah, there you go. There's the binary. Brilliant. That'll work. So then we can send that into OpenAI. I'm still losing space here. Let's get all of that out of the way. So we have our data. So let's test this out now. You can just click this button here to run this step. That didn't work. Open router. Oh, it's the wrong credential set. Okay, try it again. Great, yeah, that worked. So let's have a look. Hello, test 1, 2. Brilliant, that worked great. Now let's rename these. So this is Transcribe. It's always good to rename as you go because sometimes you might need to have a hard reference to a node, which is done by name. So if you change the names of the nodes later on, you might have to change references within the workflow. So this one then is download. So let's download the binary and transcribe it. So this is trans status. Okay, cool. So then that is the transcription. So we could probably just set a message then, if it's transcribed, it's going to be this text. Whereas if it's not transcribed, it's actually going to be like part of the output from Slack under transcription. So maybe let's come in here and we'll just set a variable. So then let's just call this the user message, and well, like it's obviously going to be that, but then it could also be what we're getting here. So let's hook up this one, and then let's go back into the execution log to find that execution where the transcription actually was successful. So not that one, that's processing, still processing. Yeah, there we go, complete, this one. So excellent, yeah, so let's copy this execution now to the editor. And now if we double click this, yeah, transcription is complete. N8N is brilliant when it comes to the pinning of previous executions and loading them up. That way you don't have to constantly be in Slack kind of trying to, replicate every edge case. So that's brilliant. Okay, so then this edit fields, it's either going to be, I can click execute previous nodes here. It's either going to be JSON.text, which is going to come from OpenAI, or it's going to be this one, the preview content. So let's just come in here then. This is the standard logical OR operator. So it's just a double pipe, and then you can drop that in there. Cool. So we'll test that. It did work, but I'm not seeing anything there, but I'm sure that's fine. So let's rename that as set message. Okay, and then that's all. That's this part of it done. So we can now bring this back to the loop so that it can start again. So just to go over that again. So we're going to loop through each file. We're going to check the file type. And if it's audio, we're going to go and check the transcription status from Slack. If Slack has already transcribed the audio, we just go straight to setting the message. That'll be going into the agent. Whereas if Slack hasn't transcribed the audio, we download it and we transcribe it ourselves and set that message. And then we go back to the loop. So the idea then is we're going to aggregate all of these messages, from what's directly inputted into Slack, what's in the images, what's in the audio, and send all of that into the agent so it has all of the information that it needs to proceed. So that's the audio side. So then for image, what do we need to do? Let's double click this and see what we have. So that's audio. Okay, so let's run this one. Great, there you go. So you can see the image tab then. Well, actually, I take that back. Where's the runs? I see what's going on here. We have an issue with I didn't set this to expression. That's what's happening. There we go. It was actually fixed. So it wasn't actually loading it. So let's test that again. I'll need to run the whole thing again. So I'll save it and double click. Brilliant. There we go. Image JPEG. Okay. So probably the same thing then. We need to download the file and send it into OpenAI to figure out what's actually in it. So if we pull these out of the way, so it can be a case of it goes in this direction if it's processing audio, whereas it goes in this direction if it's processing an image. So let's try OpenAI then. And what do we have? Analyze image. That'll do it. Let's choose the right account this time. Analyze image. We can choose a model, so GPT-4o maybe. What's in this image? We can pass in the URL. So that means it needs to be a publicly available URL, which this is not. And you can't send a binary. No, okay. Actually, yeah, we might upload this to a server because when I built the WhatsApp agent, I had the ability to share a screenshot or take a photo with the phone and actually send that to social. And for that to work, we needed the ability to actually host that image on a temporary server somewhere. So this is kind of the same thing here. It looks like OpenAI needs an actual publicly accessible image URL, which Slack isn't giving us. But we're going to need one anyway if we want to send an image to Facebook or to Instagram to actually post something that we take ourselves. So I'll bring in the module from that other blueprint, which is this one. So let's just paste that in and let's have a look at it. We can close that one. Yeah, so this uses uploadcare.com. You might use your own kind of CDNs or image hosting. If you had a WordPress site, you could upload to that. If you have an FTP account somewhere, that'll work as well. So I've set up a free account on this. They actually have a demo account with 10,000 operations a month, which is perfect. Once you sign up, they give you a key, so you can put in your upload publication key there. So just to look through this, we're posting to this URL. We're not passing authentication because the authentication is passed in the body because it's form data. So this is a specific kind of format for this web service call. So I need to get the data now with the binary. So we'll use that download trick again, and then you pass in the publication keys. So that should work once I hook everything up. So let's grab our download and duplicate that. Yeah, so the first thing to do then, if this is an image, we're going to download the file like before. We're then going to upload the file. We're then going to analyze the image based off the URL that we just received from the server, we can finish off the loop then because we know what's in the image. All right, so let's test that out then. Yeah, we've pinned this, so we'll test it end to end. Okay, so we have downloaded it. We've got our binary. Now, the upload hasn't worked. It's trying to upload an MP4 for some reason. Of course, it's actually hard-coded the URL here. That's wrong. Let's come back in here. That's my mistake. So we need to get that one. That's the one, yeah. And then it's the same here. That needs to be set it to expression, and then it's URL private download. So let's test that again now. I do believe I need to run it fully. So save it. Test workflow. Brilliant. Yeah, that's much better. And it has uploaded. And let's have a look at upload care. Yeah, and there's the image. Excellent. Okay, so we can see the URL then that we need. That's our URL. So if we close that out and come into OpenAI, then we can just paste in that URL, but we need to make this dynamic because it's going to be a different ID each time. So we just delete that out, set it to an expression because it's going to be dynamic. Then we can just drag in our file name into there. So and there you can see the preview. Brilliant. So let's save that and test it again, see how it looks. Downloaded it, uploaded it, and now OpenAI has analyzed it. And if we double click, what has it said about it? This image, I don't know if you see that. This image depicts a shield with a check mark on it for symbol for protection or security. So excellent, that's exactly it. Now we could hook this back up here actually and set that as the message. This could confuse things because we're in two different loops, but let's see, it might work. Yeah, let's just duplicate this. We don't need to complicate things. Duplicate, so that's just another set message node because we don't need this full output from OpenAI. We just need content that you see there. So that can be this one here, that's content. Okay, we'll save that. And actually, yeah, we now need to just do the same again, loop back, close the loop. This looks a bit confusing, but it should work. So let's run it again now, end to end. Okay, so we now need to aggregate this because we don't want to call the agent 3 times. So if we click here and then put in aggregate, and brilliant, yeah, you can see the done branch, not the loop branch, has our user message 3 times. So we can just aggregate these 3 items or these 3 kind of executions now into a single list. So we'll drop that in there. Yeah, and that automatically changes to the field name. And that's all we need, I think. Let's try it again. All right. And double click that. Brilliant. Yeah, user message 0, 1, and 2. Hi, can you check the latest in AI? Also check image to video as well. That was what I said in those audio clips. And then the image depicts a shield with a check mark on it. Brilliant. Now, so then let's come back up here. Well, actually, what we could do, right, is let's delete that. If we hook this up to here, and maybe we'll just, if this is just text with no files, if we set a message, if we set a variable with the exact same name, so user message, and we have no data there, so that's fine. This is another good trick, right? Because I have no data to test this on, but if you come in here, you can actually edit the starting output. So I'll just copy this. And if I just remove files completely and press save, and now if I run the workflow, it's going to go that path because there's no files. It doesn't think that there's files there. So that's a really nice way, again, of not having to constantly keep triggering Slack to simulate everything you need to build this out. Okay, so then that's gone to here. And then if we go to aggregate, our user message is zilch because I haven't actually set it here. So user message, this is a message. There we go. And actually, I still need that this is a message here. So maybe let's move this then. Let's move this over to here. Yeah, let's delete that. And here, let's put a node. Because whether it's coming from this track where there's no files or it's coming from this track where there is files, we still need the initial kind of Slack message. That we type in here. So for that, then let's probably a code node is the best way to do this. So within the Slack trigger node, you can see this is a message. So now, again, you can ask AI to do this, but all we need to do is we need to take this array. So let's say this is the messages array, and then it's referring to this. And then what we're saying is we want to add in the message. So it'll be messages push, I think. Yeah. And we want to push in the very first message from the Slack trigger, which is this one. So we drag that in there. And then all we need to do then is just return the messages array. So that should work, I think. If we test that, I haven't seen anything, so maybe we'll run it end to end. Okay, no, we do have an issue. JSON property isn't an object. Well, of course, you can't just return the array. You need to return an array of objects. So it's like that. It also needs a key because it's key value. So user message, colon, that should do it. Brilliant, yeah, that worked. Great, user message 0, this is a message. So let's load up the execution again that actually had all of the files. Okay, that's imported the files again into the execution run. So then test workflow. Brilliant, yeah, it's flying through the file processing now. This could all be brought into a separate workflow as well, just to make it look a bit tidier. Excellent, yeah, there you go, 4 messages. So can you check the latest news in AI, check image to video, that's what's in the image, and this is a message. Now, actually, it might be better if that came at the top because that's your primary message and all the rest are secondary. So I think instead of push, you use unshift. Maybe test that. Brilliant. Yeah, that's it. Excellent. So we are ready to go, I think. Let's hook it up. So we hook that up to there and then into social media agent. And now instead of taking just the text from the Slack trigger, we can delete that. And instead now we're going to be out taking, this user message kind of array that we set in this code node. So we drag that in there. Okay, yeah, that's working. Let's see on Slack what we get back. Excellent. There we go. Here's the latest buzz in AI and image to video AI. There's the image to video AI news. Great. I have got an error actually. Where did that come from? Go into the executions and see. Well, the data is still pinned actually, so that's not helpful. So you'll see it's pinned with this kind of this little pin, and it's a purple icon on a purple boundary. So just right click and unpin. But yeah, I'm not sure why there was nothing coming through there. We'll see. Hey, can you create an image and fetch a stock image to represent artificial intelligence? Okay, so that's now running. It's transcribing the audio. And yeah, we are getting that error. So let's have a look. Invalid value for content. It expected a string and it got null. Oh, yeah, there. Right, maybe we just need to stringify this. I think there's a to string, isn't there? To JSON string. That might do it. Let's rerun that execution. That should definitely work, and it's not. I think maybe the memory might be corrupted on this. So this, I've had to do this before when building agents. Like if you jump in here, this is the memory key. Because I was loading in kind of messages that there might have been a corruption in one of those messages, it might have corrupted the actual buffer itself. So there is a way to clear the buffer. So if you just add a node and just type in memory, you'd see this chat memory manager, and then delete mode is just delete all messages. So then that brings it up over here, and then I just copy this buffer or duplicate that one and connect it up. And if you double click there, now this isn't connected to anything, so you might just need to hard code the key. We'll do that and save, and then we can just right click and run this kind of deletion node. All right, let's try this full scenario again now. See, did that fix it? I think it has actually. Yeah, it's just loading. Brilliant. Yeah, fetch stock image and generate AI image. Yeah, that's worked. So yeah, that's a good trick. Just if you're getting a strange error, sometimes it is best just to try to clear the memory or change the key to something else, because the issue might be key specific within the buffer. Excellent. Yeah, there's the notification. To finish this piece off then, let's respond with audio, because I've dropped a couple of voice clips. It would be nice to be able to get this to respond in voice as well. As opposed to using 11 Labs, I'll just use OpenAI's text-to-speech just because I already have OpenAI credentials set up here. So let's come in here and we'll just click on the plus icon, and then we'll go OpenAI, and then generate audio is the action down here. Again, we'll choose the right credential. So we want to generate audio. We'll use the HD model is better. The text input. So this needs to be whatever the agent is actually spitting out. Let me go to our social media agent, and there's the output. So we can just drop that in there. I've got two fantastic images representing AI. Just pick a voice, response format. Yeah, choose MP3. Let's see how that works. Audio speed. I have found actually they talk a bit slowly. So maybe let's put this at 1.2, and then it's going to output binary data. So, all right, actually, let's test this. So there we go. Cool. So I've got the message on Slack, and now it's going to generate the text to speech. So we're going to need to actually send this on Slack as well. So let's go to Slack. Probably send a message, is it? No, maybe it's different. Maybe it's like upload a file or something. There's Slack. Yeah, upload a file, because we have binary, of course. And there's the binary. Brilliant. Cool. Yeah, we can drop this into the channel then. So just select the channel, NNN social. That should do it, I think. So let's save that and let's run this. I think my trick of loading up the output can't actually go past this loop, because you can see the green line and it's working through the loop. When it's done, it comes out here, and that's a gray line, because I've actually pinned this execution here at the Slack trigger. But if I come to here, let's say with the gray line, and if I click test this step, I'm not getting a response. Whereas if I do it here and test this step, I am getting a response. Maybe that pinning feature can't pass these loops. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm missing something. You might let me know in the comments. For the moment anyway, we might just edit this trigger. So I just removed files again, and now we'll test the workflow. Yeah, perfect. We have our green line now. It's generating the text to speech, and it's uploaded the file, and there we go. Excellent. Let's give it a listen.
I've prepared 2 amazing images that represent artificial intelligence for you. Here's the AI-generated image depicting a futuristic digital brain with neural networks.
Cool, that's brilliant. Now, it might be actually worth putting in a filter here, because if the agent is responding with like huge amounts of text, then we're going to be generating a lot of audio that's not really needed. So let's just put in one more filter here, and then let's look at our JSON. So maybe we'll do something like, if we grab the output, so this is what the agent is outputting, and then we'll say, if the length of that maybe, yeah, so that's going to be the number of characters in the output, which is 602 there. So if the length of that is less than 500, maybe then it goes through. So that way then it's not generating audio for essays of text coming in from the agent. Cool, so there's the end-to-end. The file processing is probably the most complex part of it. Now, one other thing we need to do is actually do the requests posting to social. So if you've seen the previous video, you'll know that we built a human in the loop feature. So request post into social actually is a make.com scenario that we built. So here's the scenario on make.com. If I was to ask the agent to post to Facebook, for example, it's going to use this tool. And if I double click it, we have the URL or the webhook of this scenario. So actually, let's just copy that to clipboard, paste it in there. And what we're doing then is we're sending the information to be posted to social. So we're sending the platform type. Is it Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn? The post types, is it text? Is it image with a caption? And then that could be expanded out to, is it video? Is it carousels, etc.? The actual text message to be sent and the image URL to be sent. So all of that is kind of defined here in this tool, and it's sent to this request workflow. The reason being that we don't want to give the agent direct access to publish to social, because if it got caught in a loop, it might accidentally spam our audience. So we need a human in the loop feature to be able to just approve the messages. And then the other reason we built this on make.com is that the Facebook and Instagram integration on N8N is wildly complicated, which uses the GraphQL system in Meta. So there are much easier kind of social modules that you can just plug in on Make. So that's the reason why we built this on Make. But of course, this could easily be built on N8N as well. So let's just make a couple of changes then. Well, firstly, let's just test that it works. So we'll just put in a stop to the filter here. And we have set our URL. We are passing make.com authentication because we don't want anyone just hitting this. So if we save this and then come into Slack and we'll say, can you draft a Facebook post about DeepSeek R1 and post it to Facebook with the above picture of the AI brain? Okay, that's come in here. And yeah, it's hit the request posting to social. So let's see. Yeah, one record in the queue. Let's turn that on and process all data so we can see what it's doing. Okay, yeah, so 1 doesn't equal 0, so it actually stopped there. But you can see now that we got this ping. We want to post to Facebook, image and text, unveiling the future with DeepSeek R1, and it also dropped in an image URL. Okay, so this obviously is using WhatsApp. So let's get rid of WhatsApp from this and we'll bring in Slack. So we click add a module, and then we're going to use Slack, create a message, that's it there. And let's unlink WhatsApp and hook it up here. If you want to learn about how the request and approval scenarios work here, check out the link in the description to our previous video where I'll go through it in a lot more detail. We also have these blueprints available in our community, so you can check out the link below for that as well. Okay, so create a message. So we'll click on that. You'll need to set up your connection. I won't go through that process. We did it at the start for N8N. It's a very similar process to set up for Make. But what you'll end up with is you'll be adding the Make bot to the N8N social channel, as well as having the N8N bot in that channel. So both of those bots can post to the channel, and then that's how this kind of human in the loop system works. Now, a key thing to remember though is, and let's just do it here, this trigger, we need to exclude these bots. So I've N8N and Make listed as IDs to ignore. Otherwise, it'll get caught in a loop where Make will send a message into the channel, which N8N will pick up and possibly respond to, and it might respond to itself and get caught kind of in an infinite loop. So the best thing to do is just list the IDs of the bots to ignore. That way it's only going to accept kind of human interactions on the channel. Great. So I'll choose a channel from a drop-down list. So it's a public channel and there's N8N social. And then the text we need to pass in, we'll just grab it from this WhatsApp message because it's the same text. So that goes in there. So this is the agent safeguard. We've received a request to publish a post for Twitter or Facebook. Here are the details. So the post type, the text and image. Click the following link to approve. So we have the approval webhook set up here in a variable, and that's what we're sending on Slack to actually approve. Now, very important is you need to turn off unfurling media content and text-based content, because you don't want Slack auto-previewing the link, which will approve the publication. So just disable those two. And now what we'll do is let's run this again, and then back into Slack, and we'll just say, great, please post this Facebook message. And then let's keep an eye out. So that's working now in N8N. It'll hit now our request posting to social, which is just done there. And great, yeah, we have the firing. There you go. This is the agent safeguard from make.com. We received a request to publish a Facebook post and click the link to approve. Actually, I forgot to update the webhook, the approval webhook. So I'll just do that here. So we'll just fire this again, save it, run this one and trigger it again. And there's a request posting to social. I've got my notification. That has fired again. If I come into Slack then, you can see N8N said the Facebook post has been successfully prepared and is pending publication. And it's prepared with a stunning image of an AI brain. And then that's the make.com safeguard. And if I click this link, you can see it's gone off and it's now publishing that on Facebook, which it's successfully done. And it's actually gone to WhatsApp. So we'll hook up Slack there in a second. All right, and there we go. There's our AI brain, unveiling the future with DeepSeek R1. And that post is written in our kind of company tone of voice. That's all set in the prompt for the agent. Again, more details in the previous video on that. But yeah, that's how that works. That's looking great. So we just need to make a change now and just get rid of all of the WhatsApp Business Cloud and just drop in Slack instead. And it's the same as what we did in the previous scenario. So it's just Slack, create a message. We just need to select our N8N social channel, which is there, and then I'll just bring in the body. So like all this is saying is this is the agent safeguard, we've published the post. So that's all this is doing. Brilliant. So then we just delete that module, and then we need to clone this across each of them, and that's it. Nothing else to do here. That's the publication scenario up and running with Slack as kind of a notification system to tell you the posts have either been published or there's been errors published in them, which is what happens down here. Yeah, definitely check out the last video for a full kind of detailed description of this. One of the changes we need to make is in these filters, because there are events coming through for message changed. Because when I actually enabled the scenario, I ended up getting a flood of Slack messages. And the reason was, yeah, this subtype message changed. So I don't know, is Slack kind of making amendments to the message, adding in transcriptions for audio or whatever it's doing, but we need to filter those events out. Otherwise, it's again going to trigger multiple times. So for that, we just need to do the exact same type of filter. So it's have that as an expression. So just paste in that expression, and then yeah, message changed, and we definitely don't want to trigger for those type of events. So you can save that. And then finally, with everything up and running here, once you've kind of set it all up, tested it out, and are happy for it to go to production, and what you need to do then is click on activate. So you need to activate the workflow. Then you need to come into the trigger, open up this webhooks URL at the top and click production URL. You need to copy that out. Then you need to go into your event subscriptions in Slack. And here then you need to change the actual webhook URL, because it's currently pointed to webhook-test. So it needs to point to the production URL, and then just save changes to that. And then at this point now, this automation is fully up and running. The workflow is constantly listening out for Slack triggers, and based off whatever you send on Slack, if they're files, it'll process them and figure out what's in those images, and then append those to whatever the message you sent was, which will then hit your social media agent. It'll use the tools available to actually trigger social posts, generate images, carry out kind of research, and then it'll send kind of notifications of the response to Slack, along with kind of an audio message if the text isn't too long. So that's the system up and running. If you'd like access to this blueprint so that you can install it yourself and have a play around with it, as well as access to the make.com blueprints that you see here, then check out the link in the description to our community, the AI Automators, where you'll be able to access all of these system templates. All of our agent systems, multi-agent systems, full-blown automations are in here. We have a dedicated micro template section and an agent tools section, which is all of our N8N and make.com kind of scenarios that you can plug into different agents. We run regular workshops where you'll be able to join in and chat with myself and Alan. There's an active discussions area where if you're having issues or difficulties with getting the system up and running, you can drop in comments and notes and we'll get back to you on it. We also have a number of courses within the community that you'll be able to take to really level up your AI automation skills. Our templates are fully documented, so not only will you get the blueprints, but you'll also get detailed documentation, step-by-step instructions on how to actually get these automations up and running so that you can then use them in your own companies or sell them on as services. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.